So welcome, Tracy.
Thank you very much.
So is it okay if we start with briefly you telling us about your journey into your interest and your journey into politics?
It's a very ordinary journey into politics, to be honest with you. It was, I started to be interested in politics at school. My family aren't interested in politics at all. I just basically became more and more fascinated by it, and ended up kind of doing it at university. Thank you. Doing it at university and getting a job in Westminster, and that was it really. But my family weren't interested in politics at all. Something that I grew interested in myself.
Yeah. Although you make it sound quite easy and straightforward, I'm sure you might have done a little bit of research and study into how you actually pave the way forward before you get those sort of placements into serving with ministers at the Parliament or...
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is that there is a lot of luck, but there is also a lot of making sure that you ask the right questions at the right time. Some of it is common sense, some of it is just aspiration and determination. But ultimately, in the day, I just met the right people at the right time, asked the right questions, and did the right things. And I think it's about having a good head on my shoulders and being confident enough to ask people if I can go work for them or if I can support them in a way.
Mm-hmm. And were teachers instrumental in any part of that journey at all?
Yeah, I had a really good teacher. We had different views on issues, but in a way that helped challenge what I believed. And she would constantly, not argue, because that sounds like it was more confrontational, but disagree on certain issues. But it helped me as a teenager form my views.
It's more like a healthy, constructive discussion.
Yes, exactly.
Excellent. Thank you. And what has been the most important challenge for you personally, in your political journey?
I don't really see things as sort of kind of personal challenges, or certainly ones that are not overcome. I try and always see positive from challenges and learn from them. So I can't really think of a single issue. There's always challenges. I mean, it's hard as a mother to leave my family on a Monday and not come home till Thursday. But that's not unique to politics. That happens in other businesses and industries as well. So you just have to kind of crack on and get on with it, really.
You make it seem as if it's very easy to do that, but anyway. Okay, so on the same note, what do you feel is the most important challenge that women face today? Perhaps the barriers, or it could be the psychological barriers. What do you feel are the most important challenges that women feel, or you feel, needs to overcome if they are interested into getting into politics?
I mean, I think it's a really good question, because I don't think we face as women physical barriers that we have in the past. I don't think that there aren't any rules that prevent us from becoming politicians, or there are actually very few industries or sectors now where women cannot be involved. That wouldn't have been the same case when I was growing up. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a fighter pilot, and I wanted to be and I wanted to be a professional footballer, and I wanted to do something. And actually, at those, at that time, women were not welcome in those professions. That's not the case now. And so I think that women growing up today are very lucky in that they don't face those physical barriers that previous women have faced. I do think that, however, we do face significant emotional and psychological barriers. I think we are naturally less confident than our male peers. I think that we have far more maternal guilt. I certainly.
I could relate to that.
I think every woman relates to that. You go out to work and you instantly feel guilty for not being home when they get back from school. I'm not sure, their fathers, or our male peers feel the same. So I do think that we as women need to learn to be more resilient and more confident and not have this guilt that we're supposed to be racked with.
Yeah. Okay. So you did briefly touch on this earlier, but how do you like balance or juggle personal life, work life, your own passion in football, and coaching young ladies as well? And so, is there anything that is as balanced?
So since I went through breast cancer and thankfully out the other side, I've actually become more, not selfish, because selfish sounds like a very negative sense, but I've certainly reset my priorities in life, and therefore I make sure that I make time for my family and my personal interests, and I don't try and spread myself too thinly now. And actually, I'm rather thankful in a way for my cancer for that. I've certainly become, more focused on what are really important things, and a lot less focused and a lot less stressed out about the less important things. And I don't think that unless you've been through a significant medical condition, it's very easy to get warped views about what are the important things in life, and work quite often becomes the most important thing in your life, or making money, or not making money to live, but making money above and beyond what you need. And so actually, in a way, I've been able to reset and reprioritise what's important.
That's a very philosophical and quite humbling sort of way of looking at it as well. But on the other hand, when reading about your journey, and you now spreading awareness about the breast cancer to other women, also to highlight what signs to look out for and all of that, in a way you have been able to contribute in a positive way. So I have read about that, and I think that's really wonderful as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So how reflective are you as a women political leader? What do you feel are your strengths and vulnerabilities?
I think that I've become more balanced as my time in politics has gone on. I have been local MP now for 13 years nearly, and certainly when I first got elected, I was very I was in a rush. I wanted everything to change straight away. I'd get very angry if there was things didn't go the way I wanted them to go. And so I've become a lot more reflective and a lot more balanced in terms of things like that, and a bit more sanguine about things.
Okay, yeah.
So, I think that I've just grown up really in the role and grown into it, and therefore I feel a lot more confident that when I do stand up and do things, that I can have better outcomes, because perhaps I'm not instantly tearing my hair out and being sort of kind of really, emotional about it. So things are just different and better, and as a consequence, they're better.
Okay, that's a really good way to look at it as well. So, what has been in your view, your biggest achievement, or any breakthrough moment?
It's really hard to talk about biggest achievements because there's so many different levels of achievement. Government recently published a white paper on football, which is all my work, and so you could say that that's a really big thing that I've done. I changed significant policy around gambling and about sport and the issue of loneliness. These are all things that are really good things that I have done. But then equally, right now we're working to support people who are finding themselves homeless, or I'm working to support somebody who's a victim of domestic abuse. Or I'm sort of kind of trying to fix a pothole that is outside outside the village pantry. So all of these things, are really important things, but in different ways. And so I never try and say, oh yes, my biggest achievement is this, because it actually belittles the work that we're doing on a lot of stuff that never makes the headlines. And yet it's equally as important to people.
Okay. So on the note about the gambling, where you were instrumental in trying to bring big changes, I get the sense that it was something that was very close to your heart, and also bearing in mind Chatham has got this significant issue with so many gambling partners over there. So is there any What motivated you at that time to push for quite significant systemic change, despite knowing the potential kickback, like pushbacks or challenges? So, how did you feel you were prepared to deal with the resistance?
I met too many people whose lives had been ruined by gambling, and I met the victims of those. I also met the family members of people who had taken their lives because of gambling. And I think when you've looked those people in the eyes and you've heard their stories, it's actually very hard to forget those things, and it gives you a real perspective and a real drive in terms of policy change. And that's sort of kind of where I saw things actually, and why I was so persistent in what I needed to do.
Yeah. And was the principle, the fundamental principle for you so strong that you at one point felt that I'm not going to stay on in government, and you did?
Yeah, I couldn't look those people in the eye and say that I still cared very passionately about their issues when I, wasn't willing to put my money where my mouth was, basically. So, I had no problem with resigning from the government, and even to this day, people still thank me for doing that because I saved their lives.
Okay, so what do you feel still needs to change to have more women at the political leadership table? In respect to Britain?
It's really difficult because I think it is about nurturing talent, about giving them the confidence in themselves to be able to go and stand for high office. I don't think people are prevented from doing it. I think the thing that often prevents us from doing it is wanting to do it. So I quite often reflect on whether I want to go back into high office because of the impact that it will have on my family life. And yet, am I doing a disservice to women across the nation if I don't? So, I do think there is an element of, we perhaps reflect a bit more than our male colleagues did on whether or not we want to be in high office.
Okay. So on that note though, like as a leader, how do you stay mindful of who is at the table? And you did touch on it is about giving them a mentoring role as well to some extent. But how do you make sure that you reach out to those that are not at the table and is not likely to be at the table, or who will remain missing unless if you do some reaching out?
We have structures in place in Parliament to help reach out to women. We have a big project called Ask Her to Stand, both at national and local level. We encourage women to get involved in politics, to have their voice heard, to want to be listened to. So there is a lot of outreach that happens from Westminster into our local female community.
How about outreach for demographically different groups though?
Yeah, I think it's more challenging, to be honest with you. We certainly, if we take Nepalese community, we've had a Nepalese councillor, male councillor. We've got another one standing in the local elections, but both have been men. And it's like, how do we reach out and get sort of kind of wonderful women like yourself to come forward and stand, and make people feel that they're welcome, make people feel that they have something positive to contribute to the way that their communities run.
Okay, and as you go up the political ladder, how do you make sure that you stay grounded and also take care of yourself?
Well, my other half is very key to that. He's always been the first one to sort of kind of pull a funny face, or make sure that I'm still taking the bins out, or cleaning the bathroom or something. So there's no letting me get away. And I'm surrounded by very ordinary people. I also have the benefit of representing a very grounded area. There's no way with my constituents that we get all airs and graces. I'd be brought down a pebble to in no time.
Right, okay. So what advice would you give to young women today, or younger yourself? Like, what is the one thing you wish more young women knew about politics?
That they're welcome, that they can contribute, that they do have something important to say, that they should get involved, because it will, ensure that the interests that they and their friends have are being represented. have the confidence to come forward and put yourself, up for election.
Okay. On the occasion of International Women's Day that's coming up, is there any specific message you would like to pass on to women folk out there?
The only thing I would say is don't forget you're a significant part of the world's population, this country's population, our local community's population. So stand up, be counted, be listened to, and have the confidence to come forward.
I think that's a very powerful message. Yeah, thank you. Last but not least, I'll make this message specifically for my community. Is there anything you would like to say to the Nepalese community in Brompton and Chatham?
Well, only to say thank you for everything that you do in our local community. I know that many Nepalese play a really significant role in the community, and just to say, we really appreciate it, and thank you and get involved.